Hello to the chicas, also to the chicos, but today I'm starting with the chicas because on the menu today is going to be a collaboration with the legendary chica SpaceAmy, a reasonably well-known adult improver in the chess punk community. We are going to do a backseat coaching. So what's happening here is that Amy is playing a game against her opponent, and I'm going to talk Amy through the game, what to do, how to change certain ideas, going through mentality, how to approach positions, the whole shebang. I do think that this is a really powerful way to do coaching. However, it does bring about some moral issues. So if you are a coach who wants to do this, two things that you absolutely have to nail. One, of course, the opponent must know that there is a helping hand at play, as is the case in this particular game that is Amy playing. And in my opinion, the only way to make it fair and legit if the game is unrated. And of course, we are exactly doing that. So without further ado, guys, let's jump into it. It's a long but really educational video, so grab a popcorn and enjoy. Let's go, Amy. Recording is on. I'm going to do a separate greeting so that, yeah, we don't have to waste any more time. Thank you so much once again for coming to the rescue. Whoa! Knight c3. Do we play Winnover or Knight f6? What is your...
I have never faced Knight c3. We may need to talk out my thought process this soon. I've literally never faced it.
Okay. So, because the name of the game is that I am helping you, at least to some degree, at least I would like to give you as much as take on e4, knight f6, and bishop b4 are the three main moves here.
Okay. Take on e4, knight f6. Does knight f6 transpose to an advance?
No, but probably that's what I would recommend you to do, because structurally that's the one that you will feel the most comfortable with. Because the structure indeed does resemble the advance, so please do that.
Yeah, knight f6, alright.
Yeah, so here white usually either plays e5 or bishop g5.
Gotcha.
What do you think you would do against bishop g5?
Well, I would definitely be looking to, I would be afraid of e5 if he played bishop g5 and I didn't do anything about it. So I would immediately go bishop e7.
Very good, and that is actually the main line there. And by the way, the reason why I'm prompting you to talk now is not only to save time, but because of a recent discovery of mine. Well, it's not really a recent discovery, but it's something that I have come to realize again and again. And that is that below a certain rating level, people very badly misuse their opponent's time. And by saying that they misuse it, what I actually mean is that they don't use it at all. So there is no active, proactive thinking into what I think is going to happen and what am I likely to respond against that with. So that's what I wanted to model here for you, that in anticipation to bishop g5, we had bishop e7, and in anticipation to e5, we didn't have time to talk. Where do you think we should go?
I would probably go knight d7 here.
Very good, please do that.
Yeah.
Are we good friends with our opponent?
Well, he's a 9-year-old boy, so we have not actually met, but I'm friendly with him through his father, so.
So what are the odds, Amy, that we could politely ask him to give us some extra time on the clock due to the fact that I was setting up and we have got some shortage on the clock as a result of my technical inabilities. Because on Lichess, it's a very easy business to sort out.
Yeah.
Another day you will have to explain to me, by the way, the origin of your username, but that is not important now.
Oh, to my Lichess, it's very boring. It's my first and middle initial, my last name, and my birth year.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, very not unflashy.
You are very unfairly young, so I feel sad now. No. Reminded of what a veteran I am in this business. Now, let's talk chess, Amy. What do you expect? Yes. What do you expect now?
Okay, I would probably expect like a knight f3, maybe bishop d3, just normal developing moves.
Okay, let's talk a second about knight f3. What do you think we should do against that?
Okay, I might go c5 here.
Mm-hmm.
Just to,
When you say you might, do you have an alternative?
well, I was looking at alternatives and I don't want to block in my c pawn because it's kind of an advanced French advanced structure.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to block in my c pawn with my knight, so I want to play c5 before knight c6.
Very good. Let's do that, Amy.
All right.
Let's do that. Now, I'm going to probably disturb you with this whole shebang, but I would like this to be a very meaningful learning experience. So, your opponent made a inaccuracy, to say the least, by playing knight f3, which actually was the anticipated move. But now, white is actually struggling to hold the center together, because as soon as the d and the c are traded for each other, irrespective of who takes whom, e5 is going to lack support.
Yep.
What do you, I can see that. In hindsight, what do you think white should have done instead of knight f3 to ensure that the center doesn't blow up?
Sometimes in structures like this, I see bishop e3, I see bishop d3, and bishop e3 reinforces the d4 pawn. And yeah, that's probably what I'd expect.
That is very good what you're saying, Amy, but the problem being that e5 pawn needs a pawn support, because pieces are simply not going to cut it. Because you are going to be able to hit the e5 pawn with the d7 knight. We are going to put one on c6. We are going to put a queen on c7. That's a bucket load of attackers. They are not going to be able to back it up sufficiently. They needed a pawn support.
I see.
How could they have accomplished that?
So you were saying knight f3 is inaccurate. I think maybe f4.
Correct. Now, obviously, we're talking about 2 moves ago, but I wanted you to understand that f4 was necessary for white to properly fight for this center. All right. What's your first gut instinct here to play?
My gut instinct is to take c takes d because he would have to recapture with a piece and it isolates his pawn on e5.
Can you be a bit more specific, please, in terms of what they are going to take back with?
Let me see. So c takes d. I think that they would take back with the bishop because that does protect the e5 pawn.
Yeah, and obviously knight takes back blunders the e-pawn. Now, if I were to push you a little bit for an alternative to cd4, what would that be?
Alternative to cd4. I know that oftentimes in this structure you go queen b6 to target the b2 pawn. Sometimes it can be a little dicey, but I'm not sure about here. That's one idea.
I would like to hear Amy developing moves. You know, I'm an old school classicist. I don't like
developing moves.
Yeah, developing moves, please.
Okay, knight c6.
Bingo. So what I want you now, Amy, is to make a decision in less than 30 seconds between knight c6 and cd4. No pressure.
I think I would go with, I don't know, it's really a toss-up. I mean, there's really no other way for him to reinforce either pawn right now, either central pawn, right? Like there's nothing else he can do to reinforce those pawns. Therefore, maybe there's no rush to take.
Very good, Amy. So my preference as a coach of big chess principles and just in general to enforce these principles is to not to release tension unless there is a substantial gain. Now you could argue that the fact that they have to take back with the bishop on d4 is a substantial gain, but since even after knight c6 they will have to deploy a very awkward retake, I would argue that let's just develop and keep the tension. Okay,
yeah, that's what I was leaning towards.
And of course, if they take on c5, then you have a very pleasant choice of taking either pawn.
So you would say take either pawn, take either the c pawn or the e pawn. Gotcha.
Yeah. I actually am a little bit torn as to what I would do. So I would like to throw that ball back to your court. And I would like you to tell me which way you would capture if they play dc5 here.
Yeah. I would probably capture the c pawn first, and maybe this is this is kind of a seeing ghosts thing, but there's something that feels kind of premature about capturing the E pawn rather than the C pawn this early in the game.
Mm-hmm. And what would you take it with?
I would take it with my knights because well no, hold on. Because it's always good if I can, kind of recapture while making a developing move. So maybe take with the bishop instead.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Let's make it
what would be the downside, Amy, of taking with the bishop?
The downside would be I don't think I want to trade that bishop because it is my good bishop in this structure. So I would try to find a way to hold on to that bishop.
Right. So what I want you to do now is to debate with yourself, preferably out loud if you can. Because you have provided now arguments for both knight takes and bishop takes.
Yeah.
Which one will you pick and why?
I'm going to pick knight takes because even though it doesn't, it doesn't develop a piece that hasn't been developed yet, I would rather give up that knight than that bishop. And sometimes it can be important, I think, to hold on to that dark squared bishop, like on e7, to put it on e7 to maybe be prepared to meet any counterplay on the king side.
I really like your strategic reasoning, Amy. What's happening with this 1500 nonsense next to your name? Which, by the way, the viewers can't see, but I will talk about the ratings. So Amy is 1500 provisional and our opponent is 1800 provisional on leeches.
Yeah, I just don't have that many games logged on Lichess.
No, that's fair. That's totally okay. It's just I made the cut so that we are both quite largely visible, and I didn't make a cut for the times, which was probably a bit slack of me, but maybe next time we will do that. Right, so d takes c5 got taken care of. Is there anything that you would consider here for white, or you would be afraid of, or you would think to be likely?
One thing that always calls out to me in this structure is, that's already... I feel like bishop e5 is not thematic at all.
Oh, very good, Amy. Why not?
Generally, I just know that bishop likes to sit on d3 because it wants to stay on the king side, right? Like white's pawns are facing towards the king side. That's where he wants to attack, and it feels misplaced on the queen side.
Very good. What do we do?
Well, I think now would be a good moment to capture the d pawn.
I don't disagree with that statement at all. I would like to push you a little bit and tell me if you see another alternative that appears to you to be handy, logical, annoying for white.
I don't really want to, playing a6 doesn't seem to make sense because why would I want to help that bishop go back to its rightful place?
Actually, hold on a second, Amy. So now is the time when we must switch from superfluous observations to exact calculation. So when you say forcing it back to its rightful place, well, what's that? Like, where is it going to go after a6 exactly?
I think d3.
And then you calculate on Amy because bishop d3 interferes with the queen's defense to d4. So now we might have a tingling sensation that something is up for grabs.
Okay, so a6, bishop d3, c takes d4, knight or bishop.
No. Pick one. Please don't ever do that. Pick one, calculate it out, then deal with the other. You can't ever say one or the other because then you don't know which one it is. So let's all go with knight takes first.
Okay, so knight takes d4, and then knight takes d4, and I'm up a knight.
Hang on, isn't that guarded by the bishop?
Oh, bishop takes d4. Okay.
So let's take back the knight takes d4 part on our end because we instead could take something for free.
We could take something for free.
Yeah, not the knight on d4. That wasn't free. Something else is.
Oh, the bishop on no, it's gone back. It's gone back. Okay, c takes d4, knight takes d4. I'm not seeing what's free. I struggle with calculating.
What's guarding this, Amy? E5. Sorry, I just highlighted it, but you don't see it.
Oh, on e5, yeah. Okay, if the knight captures on d4, then I can play knight takes e5.
Right. So what do we do if the bishop takes on d4 instead?
Okay, so c takes d4,
bishop takes d4. Sorry, a6, bishop d3, and then c takes d4, right. Yeah?
And then bishop takes d4, and then I would definitely grab that bishop with my knight. So
and if the knight takes back, then what do we take for free again?
The e5 pawn.
Thank you. So all of a sudden, a6 has become a major attraction, right?
Yes, look at that.
Also, Amy, please play it out. Sense. Please play it out. Bishop b5 sends you a very strong signal, by the way, that your opponent wants to engage on c6, because why ever else would they do that? Right? Now, bishop takes c6 is just awful with capital letters, right?
Yeah.
So we are now encouraging our opponent to carry out their awful plan.
Right.
And by the way, a6 is a very useful move, just take it please, in these French structures, because if the bishop retreats, even if you can't destroy their center like we could have, b7 to b5 expanding on the queen side is a very natural way for you to gain some space and momentum on that side of the board where you are meant to play. Now,
Gotcha.
In the given pawn structure, Amy, what is our next very important operation? How has our position improved by the capture on c6, apart from the fact that we have the two bishops?
We have a semi-open b file.
Okay, what else is good about this whole trade that just took place?
Well,
I can see that you're being distracted. Unfortunately, our opponent's move has made the question a little bit redundant. But the idea was that you have two c pawns.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And so what it allows you to do is to trade on c5 and then replace the already disappeared c pawn with the next one and dominate the center.
Gotcha.
Yeah? All right. Yes. Now, let's take this back. I will leave it to you which way. You have already given me a very compelling argument about this story.
Okay, so we decided knight takes is best.
Yes, and I don't really think that the circumstances have changed substantially enough for us to really worry about this situation too much.
Yeah.
Good. Goody. Okay, what do you think our opponent is going to do next?
I think... Okay, well, the e5 pawn is no longer hanging. The positions change, so I would probably expect castles.
Right, very logical assumption. What is our proposed response?
I would like to... Let's see. Continue my development, so I would probably play bishop e7.
Very good.
Or bishop d7, and I'm trying to weigh if there's, benefit. Oh, interesting. Okay.
All right. Now, knight d4 is attacking what?
It's attacking the c6 pawn.
Right. What is your favorite way to guard it?
With the light squared bishop, so...
But is it b7 or d7?
Let's see.
And why?
That is a good question. Usually it goes to d7, but I mean, we have to think about, reasoning and...
So when you say, Amy, that usually it goes to b7, that usually actually refers to scenarios when you literally never have a pawn on c6.
Right, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, having a pawn on c6 shapes our plans in the center. What would you say is our longer term of plan is when it comes to the center, in particular the c6 and the d5 pawns?
The longer term plan. Okay, so we were saying before that doubled c-pawns are good because once one of them clears out, I can push the other one to c5. Right. So yeah.
So you want to play for c5. That's our plan, because those two pawns, d5, c5, will take every single square away from the opponent.
Right.
Now, if your black pawn is on c5 instead of c6, assuming the knight went somewhere, where do you think your bishop stands better? b7 or d7?
I think d7, because it is, you know, I have a diagonal, I have a little more space on that side, whereas on b7, it's kind of just staring straight into one of my pawns.
And is that pawn blockaded or is that pawn mobile?
The d5 pawn?
Yep.
It is...
Remember that we have already played c5 in our heads. So by definition, whatever was on d4 has been kicked.
Right. So it's mobile.
Would that change your mind?
Yes, actually. It would, because then on b7, it's a better diagonal if I am to push at some point d4.
Much better, Amy. Much better. So this is a very important... Please play that. I will talk after, just so that we save some time.
Oh, sure. So
bishop b7. Yeah. So the idea, Amy, is that try to avoid being... It will be blunt, very short-sighted when it comes to things like, oh, my bishop is shooting into the back of my pawn. And instead, look into that, whether that's a potentially fixable problem. Because in the same way, you could argue that as soon as we play pawn c5, your f8 bishop is shooting into the back of that pawn too, right? Yet you would never say that the bishop on e7 or f8 is misplaced as a result of that. Because the key feature here is that the pawn structure is flexible.
I see.
And so static arguments don't have any validity whatsoever. Now,
no, that's completely right.
Since our plan was to play c5, I would like to encourage you to play the ugliest move of the game now, which happens to be the best too. We need to move the knight away, right?
Right, yes.
Where is it gonna go, you reckon?
I mean, the only place that makes sense is knight d7.
Exactly. Ugly as sin, we hate to go backwards, but it is for the sake of going forward. And what's good about knight d7 is the fact that it comes with a tempo.
Yes, because it hits the e5 pawn.
Now, do you notice, Amy, that we have set up a devilish tactical threat here?
Oh boy.
Assuming it's your turn again, how would we destroy our esteemed opponent? We're going to win a piece by force.
Oh boy, okay. I mean, if the plan is to go c5, I'm trying to look at it that way.
Yeah, so the idea was, Amy, that c5, knight moves d4 fork.
Oh, of course, yes.
Right?
Gotcha.
Now, your opponent very cleverly dodged this. But before we play at c5, I want to show you one more thing, Amy. If you press the back arrow, do it for me, please. Your piece will jump back to d4. Or his last move will be undone. So if you picture our position with bishop on b7 and d7, imagine if you had put the bishop on d7, right? Now we would have an ugly knight on c5 that has nowhere to go.
Has nowhere to go.
And we would not be able to play for c5. So just as such a tiny-minded decision that we put the bishop on b7 instead of d7 has given us a huge scope of potential that we wouldn't have had otherwise. Please play c5 as per agreed.
Yep.
Note here, by the way, that we are delaying development, but it's fully justified by two factors. One, we are constantly creating threats and putting on pressure. Two, equally importantly, the center is still closed enough so that our opponent has no access to us, our king, in general, has no access to any tactical means that usually refutes such ideas as playing too soon with too many pawns at the cost of development and the like.
Right, yeah. So I would expect from white to probably play bishop f4.
I would expect a little bit longer move, Amy.
Oh, you think bishop g5?
I do, because that's annoying me a lot more than bishop f4, and I always like to reckon with the most annoying move, right? So you always want to put yourself, Amy, in your opponent's shoes and think about what would annoy me the most if they played blah or blah. And bishop f4 didn't appear to me to be annoying. This one does.
Yeah. So my thought is to go queen c7 to add 2 attackers to e5.
I like your idea, so please do it.
Yeah.
I don't think there was fundamentally anything wrong with bishop e7 either, to be honest. And also, taking on e5 feels like tempting fate now in terms of opening further files and whatnot. But it's definitely not a mistake. So what my question would have been if we had a bit more time is that, okay, fine, attack e5. But what do we do if they play rook e1?
Yeah, that's tough.
Because now we lost the right to play bishop e7, yeah? So this is always the curse of this time control, that I would have liked to go through this whole thought process with you. Because if we don't have an adequate response now to rook e1, that means that we made a mistake by queen c7.
Okay.
And we had to see rook e1 because that's by far the most obvious move. Da-da. Yeah. So now this is in a bit of a pickle situation.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that our position is bad, but now we need to find mighty good moves.
Right.
Matter of fact, Amy, I would like to ask for a very quick list of candidates, please.
Okay.
Amy goes, yeah, thanks, coach. Love you too.
Okay, so I am looking at a potential d4.
Right. I like the idea of d4, Amy. The issue there that you always must reckon with is that that opens up the knight's square towards e4, and that centralizes a few too many pieces for my liking.
I see. Yeah.
If I give you a little hint about, hey, why don't we deal with that bishop on g5?
So h6?
Right, but what do you expect if they insist and play bishop h4?
Yeah, what do we do about that?
Go aggro, Amy. Go aggro. That's it. Aggro. When in doubt, aggro. What's the aggro move after h6, bishop h4?
Now queen b6?
No, let's keep pushing that bishop. That's your most annoying enemy. It still disallows you to play.
Oh, really?
Oh, G5? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay, so let's go.
Why not?
I'm just always wary to do that. I see people do that, and I never know when is it good and when is it just super weakening.
Well, this is always the dilemma, Amy, but and unfortunately time is not on our side, so I'm learning a lot about how we need to do this next time with a lot more time.
Okay.
So after, let's say, bishop h4, g5, bishop g3, who is more likely to be attacked, in your opinion, in a meaningful fashion?
Who is more likely to attack?
Or to get attacked, to be attacked, either way. I'm happy for you to express it either way. Because if you are telling me it's weakening, I'm going to tell you, yeah, fine, okay, so how do they continue? Like, what will they do after bishop g3? How do they exploit said weakening operation?
Yeah, I mean, the center is closed, and I have beautiful pawns in the center that seem pretty tough to penetrate for white.
Actually, so... Amy, the center is better than closed. It's not accessible to white, but it's not closed. It's your call when it gets blasted open with d4. So it is actually better than closed. It's open on your call. And that's bloody awesome. Now, h5 would be the desired move. But we can't do that because... Really? Oh, hello, like, of course. But we can't do that.
Yeah, because the bishop is stuck.
Because g5 is hanging, right?
G5 is, yeah.
If we play h, so how do we rectify that?
Play bishop e7 first.
Ta-da! Nothing like justifying an idea with a developing move. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go. In regards to kings, Amy, We are going to end this meeting in 10 minutes. Let's hope that we are going to finish this. Oh boy. Okay. All right, well, I wanted to tell you that we were obviously looking to castle queenside if the need arises, which is perfectly safe. Do we have any reasons not to push our kingside agenda?
By going h5, you mean?
Yeah?
Let me see. No, I don't think so.
Let's go, lady. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, unfortunately, Zoom is gonna kick us out in 8 minutes, so let's see. Yeah, so now obviously G4 is always on the cards.
Yeah.
Right? However, there is a very good case to be made, Amy, for bringing all the boys to the party and even including the A8 rock in the kingside action. How can we accomplish that?
Castling queenside.
Right. Now, most people of your level would be more than frightened to castle queenside because, it's so open. And I would be like, it's open to what exactly?
Yeah, good question. I mean,
I am happy to take the, it's too open and airy argument when anyone presents me the case of, okay, and this is going to be exploited by what exactly?
Right. Yeah, I mean, White's pieces are, I mean, the majority is on the king side right now, and he has to worry about his bishop, right? So, like, I'm the one attacking, and there's no, yeah, I feel like he just hasn't had any real initiative so far, partly,
Correct.
But
That, by the way, Amy, all of those static features come from the two central pawns that completely cut out everything from your opponent. All right, G4 or castles. Let's do it in 10 seconds. Okay, 15. All right, that was
G4.
quick.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Your opponent sort of walked into G4 by playing Bishop H2 because now they deprived themselves from Knight H2, which seemed like a good defensive measure. Now, because of this video is going to be potentially cut very soon, I want to finish on a high, Amy. We'll finish there, by the way, the game, so no matter what happens. What I wanted to tell you is that when it comes to king safety, and I did say it a lot on YouTube already, and I'm going to still say it a lot, the first and most important measure of how safe your king is not how loose, airy, or shielded it is. The first measure is the likelihood of your opponent's pieces, or rather I should say the ability of your opponent's pieces to get to it. Because you have 0 pawns in front of your king, and yet it's totally inaccessible. There is no way that the white pieces can get to your king, right? That is what determines first and foremost the safety of your king, not the number of pawns beautifully lined up in front of it.
Makes sense.
And as you can see, H2 bishop out, F3 knight out, and even the C3 knight is a major struggler when it comes to somehow getting closer to your king.
Yeah, it really is.
And this is all coming down, by the way, to central control. So what secures your king here, which is quite ironical, paradoxical, or in my book, beautiful, is your central domination. That E4, D4, C4, F4 squares are all under your command. None of them are accessible to white pieces. This is a wet dream of any French player.
It looks so weird.
Yeah, because it looks good. It's not weird, it's good, but you don't get this too often in the French.
Yeah.
Unless something goes sideways or you play the perfect game.
Right.
All right, I will tell my beautiful viewers in advance now that I think that Zoom is going to cut us out very soon, for which I apologize. But I think there was quite a bit already, Amy, in this video.
I think so.
That was of educational value. So, and I will call you back. We might actually go back on a new call. It will be an awkward cut. But I will send you a new link if we get disconnected.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah,
Let's
for sure.
Let's push that G4, yeah? Let's not muck around anymore. A typical mistake here, by the way, would have been by a lot of amateur players to play rook g8 to prepare g4.
Yeah, there's no need to prepare that. It's already prepared.
Totally. Besides, when you play g4, the goal is not to open the g file. The goal is to open the h file.
Right.
So a rook on g8 is neither here nor there. You want to double on the h. Yeah, like after h takes g4, the knight will bugger off to, let's take it. The knight will bugger off to d2, and then we want to attack on the h file, right?
Right. What if he had just pushed, what would have been, h4? If he just pushed his pawn instead of...
No, knight was hanging, Amy, on
of course, yeah.
On f3. That was not on the cards, so that was not doable at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah? Alright, what should we do?
Okay.
What should we do?
I kind of like rook d g8 to prepare g3 and just like, yeah, if he takes, I mean, okay, well, wait, let's calculate. Maybe that's not a great plan because then he just has 2 pawns. So I can't take on e5 yet.
Not yet, that's correct. How would you rate Amy d4 now? That is a move that we have been itching to play for a very long time.
Yeah, that's true. So d4 and the knight goes to, I don't know, e4.
Right, but that interferes with the rook on e1, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. That's right.
So what does that mean to us?
We should probably play it so that we can get the e5 pawn finally.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to hear, that it interferes with the e1 rook, thus making the e5 pawn accessible. Now, what is very important, and please listen carefully here, is to note that although we are pinned by the h2 bishop, but we have an additional tactic once we took on e5 with the knight, which is to take h2 with the rook. And when the king retakes, your knight on e5 is good to jump anywhere on the board with a discovered check. Are you following me?
Okay, one more time, more slowly.
So take on e5 with the knight, please, for me.
Yep.
And the reason why we get to do this without any dramas is because right now, rook takes h2 is your game-winning threat. And if the king takes, then there is a discovered check coming from your queen on c7 towards the king on h2.
Oh, okay, I see.
Matter of fact, knight f3 is going to be a double check. And when the king drops back to h1, we have a Matutsky in one move. What would that be?
Okay, so...
Assume that it's your turn now, so just calculate out rook h2.
Okay, rook takes h2, king takes h2, knight... We said knight f3, double check.
Uh-huh.
King goes to... let me see... King goes to H or F1?
F1 is illegal, Amy. The king is on H2.
Okay, yeah, right. So, I mean, back to G1 or H1?
G1 also illegal.
It's on H. Okay, that's covered by something.
Yeah. What was your last move, Amy? Knight to?
Oh, of course, right. Knight to f3, so he would have to go king h1.
At which point we have made him won by?
Rook h8?
That's the sexy one. The more crude one would be queen h2.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
All right, so...
Did our opponent's move prevent any of the above?
No.
Well, kind of yes, because if we take on h2, they can take e5. But then queen takes e5 back is going to defend the rook on h2, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We also have knight f3 check right away, but rook takes h2 is so much sexier. I would like to see that in action. Let's go. I'm surprised that we haven't got disconnected yet. That is a heck of a game, Amy.
It really was. Never played anything like this.
This is when chess feels good, as far as I'm concerned. When you are attacking, you are ripping the defense apart and then delivering a deadly blow. Alright, ladies and gents, we got disconnected now, so I'm going to very quickly send a new meeting link to Amy. And we'll take it from there. Apologies for this. I'm hoping that... actually, the game is still on, right? Yeah, the opponent is thinking still. So that's very cool, actually. I'm just waiting for Amy to rejoin the call. Yep, very good. Alrighty, are you back?
Hey, yes.
Oh! Nothing like beating the system, and we are getting our beautiful Czech Matutski.
Yes. So knight f3 check first, was it?
You know what? I will pull a dirty now. I will go with... sorry, I can't remember. You will have to work it out. Oh, wow. You just pulled the trigger, eh?
I did.
Very good. I just may have frozen the... Everything all right there?
Yeah, someone's at my door, and I was trying to get my husband to get it, but it should be fine.
Pre-move rook h8, please, please. It's mate, please pre-move it. I don't want us to lose, and then you can answer the door.
Yeah. I think I did the pre-move right. I've never used it.
Oh, just play rook h8 right now. Oh, you don't think it's enabled?
It might not be. My door's right here. It'll be fine.
Oh, okay, you will be fine. Oh boy.
Sorry, I'm doing a stream right now. I wasn't able to get the...
Oh, sorry, I hope I didn't interrupt you.
No, you're fine, you're fine.
Oh, you were deep in a chess match?
Yeah.
Alright, we good?
Yeah, sorry.
It looks like... oh, you did pre-move it. Oh, legend. Legend. Absolute legend. Okay. I would love
He goes in the chat. Did you get help to find that? Just wondering. Rook takes.
I thought that we clarified that with him, but yeah.
I did. No, I
okay.
know. But,
okay.
You know,
all right. Oh, he must have. Oh, that is still curious if that was your effort or mine.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
please proudly tell him that it was you.
I can't do that.
Well, I didn't see rook h8. My mate was queen h2. So.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
You are definitely correct. Now, what I'm thinking, Amy, is that how could I go through the game so that you see what I do without me messing with the layout? Because if I go screen shares, I think that messes with a lot of things. I will try it, but my general experience with Zoom that as soon as I go to screen share, the cameras freeze, everything freeze.
Okay.
Screen share is the ultimate way to destroy Zoom. Now, I could put it in a study, perhaps. Let me try that.
You could do that.
Let me try to do that.
You're saying to when you do the YouTube video how to show the game taking place?
No, I want to show you the game right now. Yeah, it already froze up actually.
Oh, just to look at it right now. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy, what's your name again on Lee Chess?
It's A.E. Shaw 87.
A.E.
S-H-A-W.
Oh yeah, got you. I added you to study. Can you hop onto that, please?
Yeah.
You got it?
Yes.
Do you see me moving the pieces?
I do.
Oh, great. Okay, so let's have a very, very brief look, Amy. So I don't know if we did the right call here with not taking, but apparently the engine approves of knight c6, so I'm proud of myself.
Nice.
Bishop b5 a6 was great. So yeah, that was a Bishop b5 Amy is played like a trazillion times in these structures below 1800 levels. And
I see it all the time.
Almost always they are going to engage, because why else would they go there? And about 99.7 times it's an awful move.
Yeah.
And so triggering it or inducing it is definitely your utmost interest. And from here on out, I think that we did play a flawless game. Without wanting to blow your or my trumpet too hard. Oh, no, we didn't. The engine prefers bishop takes here. Huh. But only marginally. Engine is a noob. Okay, so knight d4. Actually, ironically, Amy, the engine here already wants to do this.
Wow.
Now, I'm not gonna lie. That would have never occurred to me here because I'm obsessed with the d5, c6 pawns staying on the board.
Yeah, I did not see that.
So the idea is that after knight c6, queen c7, the knight has to go back to d4. And then you pick off e5. And then with the 2 bishop, you just dominate.
Yeah, okay.
By the way, likewise here, similarly to the game, the bishop on c8 is definitely going to go to b7. Because, yes, again, the same story. It bites into d5, but it's mobile pawns. Right. Once you move the knight away from e5, e5 is coming, d4 is coming, and the bishop on b7 is gonna be a total beast. So that same story there. But I reckon we did well with bishop b7. Castles, knight d7 was great. And here your opponent needed to turn on some kind of heat with like moves like queen h5, trying to pin this pawn and hitting the e6 one.
Okay.
But this is extremely speculative chess. In fact, I don't even understand because I thought that we were winning a piece here. So I must be missing something here with d4. Maybe, what am I missing here? Ah, bishop g5, of course.
Oh, okay.
I thought that we had bishop takes f3 here, but we don't because after queen takes queen g5, queen takes a8.
Okay, yeah.
Those are the calculations, Amy, that if you do well, they make several hundred rating points of a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so we went c5, bishop g5, and I think the biggest takeaway from this game, Amy, is that here you cannot possibly play queen c7 ever without seeing the follow-up plan to rook e1. Because the problem here is that you have a major problem, and that is the development of your bishop. And if you don't see that that is fixed by the very natural attack on the king side, you are not going to do that. But if you don't do that, then you are stuck. Because you can't play bishop e7. As a result of that, you can't castle. And all of a sudden, your position doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not giving you grief, but I'm telling you that this is a typical short-sighted move of this level where we go like, oh, queen c7 is awesome, it attacks e5. And we stop there. And we have no vision whatsoever of that just halfway beyond the future. And if you hadn't played here h6, g5, I'm telling you, you would have struggled a lot with where to take this game now. Because then you are reduced to pushing this pawn, which is way too soon. And it's very easy to go down the gurgler, getting too greedy and getting punished like this.
Oof.
And I'm not saying that you would have fallen for it. But I can guarantee you that a player of your rating range, not playing h6, g5, would likely end up in some kind of a mess like this. And I already dislike this position because now the white pieces are in a layout that makes perfect sense to me. Lots of potential attack. Your king is awkwardly stuck in the middle. c3 is a way to rip into the center and blast it open. Everything we had before as a plus turned into a negative.
Yes, makes total sense.
Yeah, so this was actually the key moment of the game in this regard. Because once you see that this is just a ripper of an attack, and also this bishop is miserably misplaced on this diagonal, now you are a happy chappy, or excuse me, a happy lady. Because literally white has so little to do here.
Yeah, totally.
And
it's super restrictive for white.
Yeah, it is like put yourself in white's shoes here. And try to find a good plan, and I wish you the very best of luck. And by the way, this is also, Amy, another consideration that I really, really want you to have in your mind when you try to correctly assess whether this is weakening or dangerous, is that it has to be correct for one side, right? So if you go like, I don't like it because it's too weakening, I want you to picture it like this. Okay, so what you're telling me is that you prefer this for white.
Right.
Because if to that you say no, then we have arrived at a major contradiction because you can't dislike it for both colors unless it's dead even and you just dislike the fact that there is an irrational imbalance in the position that you wouldn't know how to handle with either color. But the likelihood of that is immensely slim, right?
Yeah.
It's far more likely that an operation like this favors one side very clearly. And that is the case. So it's always a good idea to go away before you call it like, I don't like it. It's a very good policy to go like, actually, would I like it on the other side?
Yeah.
And try to then come up with plans for them that would counter the current situation, which then would persuade you to not to do it. Right?
Yeah, makes so much sense.
I would like to show you something, but I don't really know how to do it well. Imagine that in this position, the knight and the bishop is absent.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, white would have a winning tactic here by playing knight takes d5. You would have to retake with the pawn because the bishop is not here, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then pawn e6 opens up this diagonal onto your queen, and the pawn on e6 hits the knight on d7, which will also blast the e file open, and we are dead. So these are the ideas that you are thinking of when I'm telling you that you're trying to prove it wrong. You're really looking for some punchy ideas, but knight e5 doesn't work because your bishop covers it.
Right.
But that was the number one, pretty much the only tactic that we needed to constantly be aware of, was that this somehow blasts open. And that can only be accomplished by making this pawn go away, so that's a knight d5 sec, but that doesn't work. And the rest of it, Amy, was spectacularo. Okay, bishop h2 was really, really bad. Here your opponent lost the plot. They needed to play something like h4 here to try to compromise or mitigate the damage. And funnily enough, although we almost always say that don't play pawn moves in front of your king, especially when it comes to opposite colored castling and whatnot, but this move ensures that the h file is not going to open up, however paradoxic it may sound. Because white's idea here is to leave it. They want you to engage. If you push, you close it off. If you take, then by virtue of keeping this or forcing this pawn to stay on the board, you have this, but you don't have the h file.
Right.
So what your opponent did here was really, really helpful to us, because they allowed us to open up the h file, which is the easiest avenue for an attack. Even here, knight d2 was incomparably better than taking on g4, which was virtually suicidal, because now this file, oh boy, is just total carnage. By the way, the engine's favorite move in this position, and this is a cool motif that I want you to remember, is f5. And the idea, well, it has multiple ideas, but the main one being that en passant loses the bishop.
Loses which bishop?
The one, oh, you don't see.
Oh, jeez.
You don't see the arrows I'm drawing?
Yeah, I do now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a sexy one.
Yeah, that's great.
And what it also does, Amy, is that now when you play d4, the e4 square is not accessible to the knights.
Right.
So it gains even more space for you. Last but not least, now you have got some filthy operations where you play stuff like bishop g5, put the d7 knight literally anywhere, and all of a sudden your queen slides to h7 and lights out.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, that's way too slow for my liking. I would go in for the kill with something more aggro. But yeah, this knight e5 with rook h2 was a very delicious one. And again, Amy, you don't play knight e5 blasting yourself into that, or rather blasting the diagonal open and forcing yourself into a super awkward pin, which, by the way, could be exploited by various tactical ideas based on knight jumps, unless you do see that this is in.
Right, gotcha.
Like, knight e5 is an extremely careless and irresponsible move if it's not backed up by the exact tactic that we saw.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because then you would have to worry about moves like knight c5. And no matter how you take back, they take e5. Yeah, so all knight move here is open game. But the position is so good for us, and tactically so awesome, that no matter where this knight goes, including this, you just take this, and your punch hits a lot bigger, which is a beautiful analogy now at the post chessboxing era or times of our lives. So yeah, this was a beaut. An absolute beauty.
It really was.
And, you know, it also works like clockwork that here we have got the queen. And again, I don't know if you noticed it in the game, but any knight move now is met by check.
Oh yeah, the bishop is such a sniper down there.
Yeah, and then we have got a very specky Matutski like this.
Matutski.
Yeah, that's Maurice Ashley's coined terminology for mate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he uses that all the time. But yeah, this was just too nice to be missed. So
wow.
Kudos to you, Amy. This was mighty good.
It really was.
I don't know if I helped you too little or too much. I would be very keen to repeat this with a little bit more time, so that so we can spend a lot more time on you and your thinking rather than, you know, me trying to guide you and unpack more things that are potentially leading to bad decision making. Not because I'm a negative Nancy, but I think that's the best way to exploit this. You know, being on the behind you in terms of support. And yeah,
I find it very, very, very helpful. Just that little bit about like which square to move the bishop to, where they both seemed pretty equal, and like just me thinking that, oh well, it's running into my pawns there, as if that could never change, like the structure would never change for some reason.
Yeah, if you watch my latest video with the analysis of the Sholom games, there was a similar idea, in fact an identical idea there, where he didn't play a certain pawn move because, oh, it bites into that pawn and over there. And I'm like, yeah, well, let's get rid of it then.
Yeah, that was super cool. And I feel like, I just feel like a little more comfortable in that structure, especially that Winawer French that I've like literally never faced. Now I have a weapon.
Actually, yeah, the Winawer French is the bishop b4 one. So this is, I think, bears the name of classical.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, bishop b4 is the Winawer, and knight f6 is the classical. As you climb higher on the ladder, you will get a lot of knight c3s.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I liked how we played it. I would do that again in a heartbeat.
Good. All right, Amy, if you don't mind, we are going to call it a day.
For sure.
Thank you very much for allowing me to do this with you, and also huge thanks to the opponent who willingly walked to this slaughterhouse, so to speak. But nonetheless, I hope that it was.
I will give him many thanks. Yeah,
thank
you
you.
so much, Andres.
I will be in touch, Amy, and we will suss out another one of these if you don't mind.
I would love to. Yeah, anytime, hit me up.
All right, sounds good. All righty, Amy, thank you so much. Cheerio. Bye.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you. Ooh, now I'm gone too. Shivers. Ah, well. Oh, actually, can we go? No, because my camera is not working. I will say a blind goodbye, but maybe I will do another take for a goodbye. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked it. Please don't forget to like the super thank. It's not super like. It's super thank, sub, like, you know, press all those buttons and everyone will be happy. Thanks for watching. Bye.